bailout plan is taking a turn courtesy of Henry Paulson.
That's right. The focus has shifted from buying up bad home loans to helping out credit card and auto loan companies, among other things. So what does this mean to you? Sounds confusing. Time to bring in the watchdog on Wall Street, Mr. Chris Markowski. Good morning, Chris.
Change. Talk about change. Good morning, guys.
I can't keep up.
It went from this place to this place. It did completely different scenario. Actually, it's called the TARP, and it has nothing to do with what they put on a baseball field when it rains.
Okay.
It was supposed to be the Troubled Asset Recovery Program, and it's no longer a Troubled Asset Recovery Program. What Henry Paulson is basically doing is running the hedge fund of the United States, and he's buying into various different banks and taking capital rather than going and buying these troubled assets. Now, what you were talking about in regards to the home loans and the auto loans is that market, usually what happens is those various different loans are packaged and sold as bonds.
Okay.
That whole market has dried up. It's been dead. There's only been one deal I think this past month, $500 million. Last year, it was $50 billion. So what the Fed wants to do, he wants to help consumers have better access to credit so they can buy cars, televisions, and all that good stuff, and credit card loans, and that's what the Fed is getting into now.
But aren't we just feeding the beast because that's what got us in trouble in the first place, right?
I would agree with you there. Yeah, but that market does need to be freed up. Consumers do need to have access to capital when they do want to go about getting things. Some people are just getting denied for basically no reason whatsoever. The capital is just not there. But yeah, you don't want people to go on a buying spree again and buy things that they can't afford, because you're right. That's what got us into this mess in the first place.
Okay, so for the average Joe, then, this means that it will be possibly easier in the coming weeks and months to get an auto loan or get a credit card loan.
Yes, they're going to be basically, remember the Life cereal commercials with Mikey? You know, the brothers didn't want him to try the cereal. You know, they didn't want to try it. Then Mikey had the cereal. Oh, see, Mikey's having it, so try it. Well, basically, that's what the government's doing, is they're freeing up this market by dipping their toe in the waters.
Okay, all right.
Once again, lays it out in a simple
Daily Buzz chat room right now. We're actually talking a little bit about the cars. Chris Markowski was just talking about the bailout. They're saying a lot of them in the room are actually talking about how the fact that America's just not making a fuel-efficient car. I know yesterday they were talking about the Volt that they were trying to make.
That looks beautiful,
it looks,
by the way.
$40,000 though, you know? I mean, that's the big problem. Chris, you have something to add on this?
Yeah, the Volt, the interesting thing about the Volt, it's not too good for Florida. 6 hours worth of charging for 40 miles worth of drive.
6 hours for the of charging for charging. Wow. All right. So what Chris is saying, because he's on my cover, I was saying you have to charge this car for 6 hours, and you can only drive 40 miles.
Yeah.
Wow. So well, there you go. I mean, unless you're going to drive 40 miles.
But you know, it's not going to work here. The government's going to give a $7,500 deal on the thing, but even still, I mean, my wife drives back and forth to the mall 1,000 times. It won't work.
Tesla, the new Tesla, but that thing's going to be so expensive, that the new car line of Teslas. But I watched a whole thing documented about Tesla. He got screwed by Edison. Tesla did. It's a whole other story, a whole other show.
History Channel, that was good stuff.
Did you watch it?
Yeah.
I watched it last night too on the History Channel.
That was brilliant. Didn't he almost blow up like an entire street?
Yeah, isn't that incredible?
That's pretty cool.
And then
I think David Bowie played Tesla too.
Tesla and that one the Magician movie.
Yes,
what are we talking about?
What happened to weather? Well, the nation's retailers have turned in some pretty dismal reports this week, and it seems all that's missing from consumer spending are the consumers and the spending.
That's right. So what does this mean for the overall economy and eventually for your wallet? Time to clear things up once again with the watchdog on Wall Street, Mr. Chris Markowski. How you doing, buddy?
I'm hanging in there.
Yeah. So we were talking about Billy Idol. Were you a Billy Idol fan? You're a child of the 80s, right?
Yeah, I could do the little lip thing.
Yeah, of course.
Right. Sure.
So the rebel yell on Wall Street is not more right now. It's less as far as consumer spending.
Yeah, as consumer spending is down. Actually, the guy, CEO from Best Buy, actually used the word seismic.
Seismic
downturn as far as consumer spending last month. And I mean, honestly, did you not think that this was going to happen? Didn't we all get somewhat a little bit nervous when we were all told that the world was going to implode and we were going to beat the government cheese last month?
Yes, I think
Didn't everybody pull back to some degree and say, gee, what's going on? Banks failing all over the place. This one's blowing up. That one's who's getting bailed out?
Are you suggesting this is partly a function of the media?
No, heavens to Betsy, no. Scare people? Get people? No, that never happened.
Why have we reached a point, I mean, was it always this way in our economy where consumer spending was like the end-all, be-all, the one pillar that held our economy up? Was that always the case?
It's still not the only case. We're constantly being fed that, you know, that if we don't have consumer spending, we're all going to, you know, everything's going to fall apart. Actually, what we're going to get this Christmas is a lot of good sales. A lot of good deals out there, and things are going to continue to get marked down. It's the same thing we talk about with the problem with housing. People are like, oh my God, God, housing prices are dropping. Well, that's good if you want to go out and buy a home, isn't it?
Right. Just bad if you're selling.
It's a flip side to it.
Yeah, but I guess when you think about the economy, in order to get it moving, we got to spend more. But yet we're hearing mixed messages because we're spending more, and that's what got us in this problem in the first place. So what do we need to do? Do we need to save more? Do we need to just be patient?
The nation's savings rate is pretty dismal. I mean, people, it needs to be balanced like everything else in life. I mean, I see this all the time. I get people coming to my office and they've got a fancy car and they've got a nice house and they've got a nice suit and a nice watch and they've got a nice big fat credit card bill and they have no retirement savings. And I'm saying to myself, I said, I can't do anything for you. You first have to pay off all your debts before you can start saving, because I'm not going to show you better than 18-20% what you're paying on your credit cards. Right. It's a problem that Americans have.
We only have a few seconds left. Real quickly, it's sort of simplistic, but what should people be saving as a percentage, let's say, of their income?
Everybody's situation is completely unique and different. What I would suggest everyone doing and taking advantage of is definitely taking advantage of all your qualified accounts, 401ks, IRAs first. Take care of that, but make sure you pay down that credit card debt, because you're not going to see better than 20% a year.
Right.
All right, Chris, thank you so much. It's about 3 minutes past the hour. All morning long, we've been talking money with the Watchdog on Wall Street, and you've been asking your questions.
That's right. So joining us once again, Mr. Chris Markowski. How you doing, Chris?
Great.
All right. So I don't know if you heard it, but just a few moments ago, we have a caption contest going on today, like we often do.
Clever.
We'll throw this up here because it's a perfect intro to what we're talking about. We're going to be talking about the bailout with the auto loans. And Anthony in Dallas, Texas, writes in, says, another bailout for the auto industry? I think we just got screwed. And I have a feeling, knowing Chris as I do, that he's going to concur with Anthony.
And I got full disclosure, I have a GM car. But, yesterday Henry Paulson said in his speech, he says, none of the TARP money is going to be going to any of the car makers. It's only going to banks. So I think that we should all declare ourselves a bank holding company here. We could be the Royal Bank of Buzzland, Buzzcovia. We could think of something, we could ask for a couple $1 billion. Here we all set. We'll
Buzzing Mutual?
There you go.
I like it.
Now we were talking about, and by the way, we also have an email here from Vanessa in Norfolk, Virginia, who says, I am pissed, she says. I cannot understand how Americans constantly want the government to bail out their place of employment when we continue to buy everything from everywhere else in the world. Prime example, you work at a Ford plant, but you drive a Toyota.
She has a good point, but the reality is the auto industry is not dead here in the United States. Toyota makes cars here, Honda makes cars here, Mercedes, BMW. They just don't have the costs involved that GM, Ford, and Chrysler have. You can keep bailing out these companies, but you know what? Their business model doesn't work. If they go into Chapter 11 bankruptcy, it will allow them to restructure their costs and allow them to become profitable again.
And these are what you called, I was talking to you during the break, legacy costs. You don't mean Subaru legacy.
No, don't mean Subaru legacy. These are costs that you're paying GM and Chrysler and Ford's retirees, healthcare costs, retirement costs. And I don't think America's going to jive with Americans to pay for somebody's $5 copay when everybody else is struggling with their healthcare expenses.
Yeah, you were saying that some of these car companies have $78 per, what is it, 70?
American car manufacturers per unit labor cost is around $78 an hour compared to Toyota, which is the highest of all the other ones at $42.
So do you think that they will be bailed out? I mean, it does not make sense. What's going to happen?
It wouldn't be a bailout of the auto companies. It would technically be a bailout of the unions.
Okay. Do you think that's really going to happen?
Right now, $25 billion has already been approved. They're clamoring for another $25 billion more. It's going to be a completely separate. Yeah, they have to stop. I mean, what's next? Are we going to bail out Circuit City? There's this lie out there that, if these auto companies declare bankruptcy, they're just going to stop making cars.
They're not.
No. Circuit City was open yesterday. They just need to restructure, and that's what they need to go into.
Chris, thank you so much.